Hi, Brindley. Welcome on the chat box. We're so glad to have you. Thank you for making time. You said that you went to your friend today so that you can get your Wi-Fi right. And yeah, you've got a beautiful print of your artwork in the back. Welcome, and tell us a bit where you are and when you've painted that at the back.
Hi, thank you for having me on the chat box. It's nice to be here. This painting behind me was actually the first. It was my introduction to the Christian world in art. I found it an interesting topic. It was the first church I was in. I came to the Lord only later in my life, and so I was in my 40s. I was already established as a painter, and I was already living my life and was quite set in where I was and what I was doing. And then the Lord came and turned my life around. And it was an amazing experience. He first stopped me in my career, where I could not find myself finishing my paintings as I used to do. And it was a whole strange experience, and I couldn't explain it to anybody else. So I ended up just thinking it'll pass. And the galleries asked questions and places and family, and nobody knew what was really going down. And then I had an experience in my studio one day, and this was in the Cape. I was living in a little seaside village called Royals, and I had an experience in my studio where I felt the Lord calling me to join him, to come to him. And I accepted. I said yes. And then this whole journey started. And then I first didn't want to go to a church because I found churches. Why is there's one Bible and there's so many churches? And so what must I do? And I was first just listening to church on radio. And then there was a church close by. And I went there one day, and I stayed in that church for quite a while. It was like the first place that I was. And the pastor's wife was making these big cloth images with textiles and cloth. And so I got a request from her that they want to do a Last Supper, and they just want me to do the bit of a design of the whole thing and lay it out. They didn't know what they were asking me. It was a big job. But anyway, I went and I just went on the internet and I looked at the whole topic of the Last Supper, and I saw the old ones, and I saw the actually incredible amount of new ones that people made, which more tongue-in-cheek, it's a fun thing that people would pose as a group of people, maybe a company, and that they would all pose like the Last Supper scene and all that. But I didn't find in that time any depictions of the Last Supper that really told the story as I felt it. I felt it as when I read it in the Word. So I thought, well, I'm an artist, just like all the other artists that painted those paintings. And I just had this feeling of, I'm going to paint one. And I'm going to put it out into the world, and that is my contribution, my few cents worth of my idea of it. So the whole journey started, and I went to the church. I said to them, listen, I'm going to paint this thing, and I'm going to give you a print as a gift. And and so this whole journey started. And as I started this journey, it was like, how would you depict it? What would you do? How do you paint Jesus? I mean, I never painted Jesus before. What is it? It's easy to think about it, but when you're an artist, you got to stand with your brush in your hands like, what does this Jesus look like? So the best thing that I could find after a long time was that the most intimate would be the best. And if I would be able to be part of that inner circle, to actually sit at the table with them, and if I'd sit at the table, where would Jesus be? I don't want Jesus to sit right on the other side of the head of the table and I'm this side. I don't want him to be that far. I want him to be close. So that's how the whole idea of the whole design started. So I painted this painting with, I've left open this, actually like a seat, where this is where the viewer of the painting would be. So your plate cuts off here. And I painted these figures quite larger. And the painting was quite basically life-size. This is a smaller print version of it. And I wanted Jesus just to be close by to me. And I just designed this whole table that it would be quite inviting, and that Jesus would be talking to the people. And for the first time, actually, after living a life, having done so many photo shoots of my artwork and of my models, after so much prayer, I found a friend of mine that was growing a beard at the time, and I thought, hey, I'm going to use him. And I used him. And for the first time, I did a photo shoot. But I think when I took about the fourth photograph, my friend was busy talking to the television. He was sitting there chatting to the TV, and he was in a good mood. And as I was snapping away at these photos, I saw, but I'm getting exactly what I wanted, exactly the image what I wanted. And I think after about the 8th photograph, I said to him, listen, I've got what I wanted. And if you do photo shoots, that doesn't happen. So that was the first thing that where the Lord has actually come into my work in an amazing way, and I had this experience. So I got this Jesus figure where he's, and the whole painting was built around this whole concept of what happened that day, because it never happened before. We read the story in the Bible, and you've read it before, and you've heard it, but actually when it happened, these guys did not know what was going down. Jesus was saying to them, one of you guys are going to betray me. And they didn't know who it was. And he said, he's going away now. He's about to leave. Mm. And so I used that. You can say it was a ball of confusion that was going around the whole thing. Because I didn't want to just paint all the disciples and give them names, and so this is this one, that was that. I didn't want to do that. So the only one I had was the young John that I put on the side of him, because he was. It was in the photo shoot. I had a very young guy that was in the scene, so I put him right next to Jesus, and all the other guys. It is your guess. Who is? People always ask, who's Judas? Who's that? I painted in such a way that you couldn't tell, because all of them had amazement on their faces. And there was a drama also where he was making all these profound statements, and he was speaking to them quite intimately. So he was locking eyes with one guy, and everybody else was huddling closer, trying to get and to think further on, what is he really saying? What is he getting to? So I used that kind of drama to build up this painting, and I made the table a bit more inviting, like the ones that was depicted in the old days. They were quite sterile. There was like a paper cup and white tablecloth, and then there's a little piece of bread sitting there, and it was just cold. So I wanted to have an inviting look and feel to it.